And then here is setting yourself apart. 5 things to set yourself apart. Again, I've been in here 12 years. Most coaches and trainers are out within 1 to 3. How do you set yourself apart? This is me with my main mentor, Mike Boyle. This is one of my many trips out to Boston. He coached me at HAM, the famed U.S. Olympic team. He's got 2 national titles with BU hockey. He helped Boston Red Sox win the World Series title too. And he helped, the women's Olympic hockey team. They won silver, right? So, and his daughter actually is the youngest national hockey champion in the country. So, these are how to set yourself apart, right? Number 1, again, I love to put pictures of my travels. This is me in South Africa, about 15 feet from real lions. I was paranoid, okay? It was fun. But great coaches have productive paranoia. I'm 12 years in the game. I am paranoid every day, right? So when I was with Mike learning, there was literally $1 million athletes all around. And he told me, Chris, if I injure this athlete, that's millions of dollars. I'm on the sports page. I get a call from the owner, the agent, everybody. I'm blamed for it, right? When there's something left on the floor, you'll notice this. I'm paranoid. Pick it up. Because it's not a question of when, it's a question of somebody is going to actually fall, okay? If the moment you lose productive paranoia, you're in trouble, okay? 12 years in the game, the number 1 thing is do not injure people, okay? People stop exercising because they get injured typically. So you better develop productive paranoia of injuries. Number 2, invest in people. I love this lovely lady, Jill. She's amazing. Have you met her yet? No?
Jill,
Yeah. Okay.
She's awesome.
Yeah, maze balls, right? I'm trying to get her to smile more often, but it is what it is. So investing in people, super, super important. I've met some great coaches that are technically good, but they're dicks. They're dicks. And nobody wants to be around them. They just have that dark energy. You ever date somebody, you're like, oh, you look cute, but damn, you got some dark energy. I'm out of here, So you must invest in people. This is her holding up my book I spent so hard working on. And so I asked Mike, what's one of the things, your secret to success? He's like, I can get people to do what's in their best interest. My first few years coaching, this is what happens. You fall in love with yourself. You fall in love with your workout programs. You fall in love with your business. That's the mediocre way to do things. Great coaches fall in love with the people they're honored to coach. It sounds corny as hell, but it's true. I've been in the game 12 years. I'm being attacked by more competition than I ever have. And it's because I actually give a shit about people. And you can't fake it. You hear it in my voice now. So you better invest in people. Be careful, fall in love with your own program. Fall in love with the people you're serving, athletes, coaches, whoever it is. You know what? There's an old saying, you ever see that meme about what my friends think I'm doing, what my parents think I'm doing, all that shit? At the end, it's I'm a freaking therapist. It is. You're going to turn into a therapist when you're throwing shit around. So invest in people. It's huge. You might be the only person who makes them feel special. So Mary Kate, she actually says everyone's walking around with a sign that says, make me feel special. You might actually be the only one person that makes them feel special. And they'll come back, okay? This is a little more geeky stuff. We got a few more minutes. So systems first, methods second. This is how you stand out. I'll say it again. Systems first, methods second. Great coaches kind of can see the matrix and forecast stuff, like the ones and zeros. Mediocre coaches tend to look just at workouts and programs, and they can't predict what's going on, okay? So I'm gonna go over each one, and then I'll unpack each one, and I'll give 1 or 2 real-world examples, okay? So I want you to think systems first. Energy systems. This is like cardio, right? That's hilarious. It literally says scam likely. Do you guys get that? No? I'm the only one? All right, sweet. So let's pretend that didn't happen. Energy systems, that's like cardio, all that good stuff, right? Muscular systems, neuromuscular system, psychological system, and then your endocrine system. Why is this important? Why should you care? Because you can see the forecast. These are like weather patterns. You can predict moves. So energy systems, aerobic, lactic, all the good stuff. I won't go through all of them. Why is this important? Why should you care? If you got somebody who's deconditioned, you can't put them on an aerobic program right away. Their stroke volume's not good enough. It'll destroy them. Same thing with athletes. If somebody's endocrine system is torn down, they got a lot of cortisol stuff, you can actually do some aerobic tempo methods to bring that system back up. So I'm looking at the weather forecast. Muscular system, I'm not gonna go too deep into it. I wanna touch these other ones. Neuromuscular system, that's anything like sprints, medicine balls, any max effort stuff, balance stuff too as well. Here's a real world example. Say somebody has back pain and you only look at the lens through like an exercise and you give them some medicine ball throws. You're not looking at the neuromuscular system. We know that if you have a back that's compromised, doing high velocity stuff will shred the back. Even if you ask them, they're doing some medicine ball stuff and you say, is your back good? They're like, yeah. It's kind of like taking a shot. It's fun then, you're gonna be hungover the next day. So you gotta look at stuff through the systems. Lower level is exercise, higher level, you can predict the forecast, okay? Also, somebody that first comes in, if they're deconditioned, you can't load them up too much with this speed work. It makes them dizzy and stuff like that, okay? So each one of these systems is like a medicine. You gotta have a correct dose, okay? Psychological system, I think this is probably the most underutilized one, is like, what's the look in their eyes? Like, what's the look in their eyes? Are they going through a breakup, right? Did they sleep well? Is a family member? Like this morning, we had people that we had one person, their family member died. It's heavy shit. One's in the hospital. There's some heavy shit going on. Even if you have an athlete, it's like, hey man, what's going on in your life? All things all good? And you find out, oh, they only slept 2 hours because their parents were arguing all night. They don't need to be thrown into the dirt. They need some tender love and care, okay? So be aware of that stuff, the psychological system. The endocrine system, I won't go too deep, but like cortisol, dopamine, all that stuff, where are they at in terms of that, okay? Especially with the women, they have a lot of other stuff going on, okay? So look in terms of systems first, methods second. Me in Iceland, I'm assessing whether or not I should go there. I went here and I even thought this was a bad idea, okay? Great coaches are always assessing. Like I'm assessing you guys, like who's into it, who's bored, who's waiting at the time, who asks good questions, who's socially aware, who slept. Great coaches are always assessing. We always do like assessments at the beginning, but everything is an assessment if you know what you're looking for, okay? Everything, always be assessing. I can walk in the room and assess, all right, posture, all that stuff. Always be assessing. Remember, every single exercise is an assessment if you know what you're looking for, okay? And why is this also important? There's some athletes and clients we come in, I'm not gonna do an assessment because I don't wanna put them on blast. I don't wanna put them on the spotlight, right? Because I'm aware of their psychological system. This goes back to being a true believer. Like we have like the functional movement screen. If you're a PT, you might have heard the functional movement screen. And I've met Gray, I've been coached by those founders, and they're hard line. They're like, you always gotta do this assessment, always. But if you're a true believer and you look in their eyes and they're like, I don't like this, I'm gonna throw that damn thing out. Because the psychological system is more important than being a true believer. So always be assessing, always be assessing. This is the final one. This is how you stand out, your coaching cues. I walk into a room and I see athletes and people and I can judge the coach by how good they look, right? There's several levers. It's like, it looks like shit, it's bad, it's okay, it's great, it's excellent, okay? So the ability to give somebody a squat or something and it looks like crap, what do you do with it? Do you like panic? Do you switch it out? Do you keep going? So these are some of the great coaching cues we use that have been so damn successful. Number one is the sandwich method, right? So sandwich method is, I want you to squat like this, right? I want you to squat like this. Show them what you want. What I don't want is this. I exaggerate bad. Then I show them, again, I want you to do this. It's important to exaggerate the bad because they're like, I'm not going to do that, right? So this is awesome, the sandwich method. The next one is if this, then that. If you feel this in your abs, then you're doing it right. They need contrast because you'll give somebody stuff and they're like confused. And a lot of times they're shy, they're stifled, they don't want to ask questions, right? So you got to give them confirmation. If you're shaking, then you're doing it right, okay? And then you'll see the look in their eyes. They're like, oh, okay, yeah. Target-based coaching. Here's my rule of thumb. If I coach something and the eyes roll in their head, I'm like, it's too much. They shouldn't be thinking. It drives me crazy when I see people. It's different in a physical therapy session because it's slower paced, but like in fitness, if they're thinking, too much coaching. Target-based. So it's saying, instead of saying like knees over this, knees over that, just put a box here and say, touch your ass to the box. Target-based coaching. Or up against the wall, squat, knees are not allowed to touch the wall. And then evolution takes over and you can just shut up and walk away, okay? So target-based coaching. Once you give them an intervention, you gotta ask them, hey, is that better, same or worse? If somebody's having pain, hey, is it better, same or worse now? You gotta get confirmation. Don't assume. And then technical failure. This is huge. Don't go to failure, go to technical failure. The analogy I used, especially with guys, because there's an ego at play, I reverse engineer their ego. I'm like, dude, you're throwing wild pitches. Stop throwing wild pitches. Get the damn thing in the strike zone, right? So guys are funny. They don't want to lower the weight. Like, dude, you're throwing a fucking fast pitch in the stands, right? Get control. Analogies. I was talking with Nick Winkleman. He probably coaches more NFL players than anybody in the world. And he says they increased their 40 time by like 1.2 seconds, which seems like nothing, but that's millions of dollars, millions. And he said, look, I didn't change any X's or O's. I didn't change nothing. I just changed target-based and analogies. So it's like, hey, take off like a rocket. Accelerate like a fighter plane. Analogies. The other thing about analogies, they are generation specific. So what works for a 50-year-old, an 18-year-old is like, what? So generation specific, okay? Coaching cues are huge. You have like 2 minutes left. So see the person on the right? You can see way further. Every wealthy person I know, here's basically my rule, whether or not you're crushing it in life. Do you hate Mondays or do you like Mondays? I fucking love Mondays. Love it. Why? Every person I know that loves Mondays got to stacks of books. My buddy, I go over his house, stack of books. All my other coaching friends, stack of books. You go to my place upstairs, stacks of books, okay? They're treasure maps. Here are some treasure maps you should read. This is The Art of Decision Making. This is from a Harvard Business Review. Look this up. Every one of us in this room, including myself, has cognitive bias, right? If your friend is dating somebody and you're like, you know what? Dude's an asshole. You're gonna find ways to confirm your bias. And if somebody says they did something nice, you'd be like, nah, I'm gonna block that out. Same thing, if you believe that person is a good person, you know, it's probably a misunderstanding. She means well. She's just trying to be nice, not creepy, right? There's 25 of them. There's 25 of them. Charlie Munger is like one of the richest people in the world. He says, if you know your cognitive bias, you're in the 1%. So check it out. You can Google it, cognitive bias. Every single person I know that likes Mondays has read this book. People who hate Mondays are like, the fuck's he talking about, right? It's your choice. I've loved Mondays every day for 12 years. And this is one of the reasons, this book. How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's a classic. It's probably one of the most useful things you can read. This business is people. It's not like X's and O's and win friends and influence people. That's how you stay in the game for 12 years. Raving Fans, pretty awesome book. If you want to make money in this industry, that's where it's at. It's a quick read too. These are two classics. This is from my mentor, Michael Boyle. Awesome book. Advances in Functional Training. And it's super user-friendly. It's something you can put to use. This is a great classic, Science and Practice of Strength Training. So it bridges the gap between usable and theory. These are kind of more on the rehab. This is more for your physical therapist type people. I've spent a good deal of time with Dr. Stuart McGill. He's probably the leading expert on back health. So Ultimate Back Fitness and Performance. It's for beginners all the way to athletes. It's a must read, must damn read. This is a little bit more geeky and manual-like, but it changed the game for us too. So Diagnosis and Treatment of Movement Impairment Syndromes. She's like the Yoda of PT. No, seriously, she really is actually. Last two books, I believe. These are some of my favorite coaching books of all time. This is the Charlie Francis Training System. It's out of print. You can get the ebook. It's now called Training for Speed. He basically took all the Canadian sprinters and made them all gold medalists. And look, everyone was doing steroids back then. They were just stupid enough to tell the truth, okay? It's one of the best coaching books you'll ever read. It's amazing. The Little Book of Talent, another amazing book. Have you guys heard of the Talent Code? Anybody? The Talent Code is a book, and this is the how-to. Really cool. 52 tips for improving your skills in coaching. It's super amazing. It's basically what the best coaches and athletes in the world do. It's super quick, super simple. It'll change the game, and you'll be better than any other coach if you read these.